Now, all the games, all the highlights. You've waited for it long enough. The WSAV Friday Night Blitz, driven by your Savannah and Lowcountry Honda dealers, is on the air.
Friday Night Blitz on WSAV. I'm WSAV Sports Director Greg Talbot, live from Calvary Day School in Midtown Savannah, the site of our Friday Night Blitz Game of the Week. Well, the way I usually start the show is by giving you a reason to care about the game, explaining the matchup. Tonight needed no explanation. Savannah Christian Calvary is Savannah's best rivalry. It has been for decades, but we had a new wrinkle this year. Savannah Christian brought in a new head coach, Baker Woodward, the former offensive coordinator at Benedictine, and since week one, the Raiders had been scoring about 50 points a game. So entering this game, I had a sneaking suspicion that Savannah Christian might be back. So as we take a look at the highlights, try to keep that in mind. So Calvary entering this game undefeated. Savannah Christian entering this game 4-1. They had won 4 games in a row. Now, it was a 3-0 game at halftime. Savannah Christian on top after a field goal. Calvary, though, scored to start the second half, but Savannah Christian hit back right away in response. They would make it 10-7. They would eventually score enough points to make it 24-7, and they would take that lead into the fourth quarter over Calvary. But then the Cavs stomped on the gas, and they would try to make the comeback of the year. They would score another touchdown early in the fourth quarter. They would then proceed to recover an onside kick, believe it or not. So they were only down 10 points. Then Tarvis Comer got him back. A huge drive connected with Jay Weatherington in the back of the end zone with a couple minutes left to make it 24-21. And then with it being a 3-point game, Calvary would get the ball back one more time. And on fourth down, the Savannah Christian defense would eventually get the stop when it mattered most. The final score tonight, Savannah Christian 24, Calvary 21. And in the everlasting words that the PA announcer said tonight at Calvary Day School, Savannah Christian is back, folks. So a big win. They have now taken the inside track to win the private school sub-region in GHSA Class A Division III. Unbelievable game, great rivalry performance, and a nearly perfect comeback by Calvary. But that is just game one of a bunch of weird games that happened tonight across Georgia and South Carolina. So let's go back to the studio. Connor Del Prete has a lot more. Connor, this wasn't even the weirdest game tonight, man.
No, a ton of teams that were supposed to be blowing other teams out ended up losing. Some teams that were supposed to be tight matchups ended up blowing the game wide open. We're going to get to that in a second. But, of course, as we mentioned, region play well underway. Every play, every decision matters now. We're going to hit the big uns first. 6A schools typically have those corn-fed boys who dominate you in the trenches. But the skill players in this upcoming matchup are no joke. Bradwell finally has superstar running back Kevin Harris back from injury. Will it be enough to beat a tough Effingham County team on the road? Jared Stokes and Effingham County have the offensive spark early. One of his favorite targets, Nikos Gadsden, always capable of the big play here. Picks up a nice gain, but the Bradwell QB says, you know what? I can do that too. Vincent Gilbert hits Quintarius Chapman, who high steps his way inside the 10-yard line after putting on a couple of nice moves here. You know, there's 3 guarantees in life after he goes down. 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and a healthy Kevin Harris finding the end zone. Bradwell's star running back punches this TD right up the middle. Bradwell stumbled at home against Wayne County last week. They desperately needed a win to stay in the mix in this region. The defense stepped up in a big way. 27-8 the final. Big win for those Tigers. Let's check in on the other 6A game here. Richmond Hill feeling themselves after destroying Bluffton. They beat Brunswick here 41-7. A 5A battle brewing out in Guyton now. New Hampstead facing off against South Effingham as both try to stay as far away from that dreaded last place spot in the region. Phoenix punter Connor Wallen ain't balling on this one. Does make the smart play to recover it, so it's a safety. Would be a touchdown if the Mustangs jumped on it. Taylor Jackson always shifty with the ball in his hands. He gets a nice little QB keeper here, making some defenders miss, and he goes right past your camera. But New Hampstead was simply too much to handle all night. We're going to give the ball to a Johnny Davis here, who has his sights set on a big day on the ground. Nice run here. Sets the Phoenix up nicely for another score on the night. New Hampstead, winners of 2 in a row now. 34-16, the final out there. Now the grittiness of these two teams off the charts. Wayne County and Statesboro face off as we wrap up 5A coverage. First quarter, Jeff Kaiser pacing the sidelines. Nothing. Statesboro backed up on its own 1-yard line. Jalen Roberson changes that real quick. evades everyone, including the camera guy for a second. Sorry about that. And he's off to the races, keeps those legs churning, and no one's gonna catch him now. My dude is gonna need some oxygen after that one. 99 yards to the his A. 2 plays later, though, on the kickoff, Trey Chansey behind a host of Yellow Jackets. Looks like this one could be a shootout, and we're just 3 minutes into the game. Who'd have thunk it? With a team like Statesboro and Wayne County, both with solid defenses. 7-7 now, Statesboro would get the ball. That patented triple option. Roberson feeling it. Little toe-dragging tackle there, saves another touchdown. But the defenses decide, you know what, let's finally step it up, why don't we? Devadrian Lipsy gets pummeled by a host of Wayne County Jackets. Away team trying to regain control of this wild game in Statesboro. Shamar Taylor decides to take the ball and run. Right past your living room and out of bounds. Good for a first down and more. In overtime, Wayne County would block Statesboro's extra point, a heartbreaker. 21-20, the final there. Let's toss it back to Greg out at Calvary Day.
Yeah, Connor, I hadn't seen that Richmond Hill had such a big win tonight. I'm surprised by that one. So an even weirder night than we thought. And speaking of weird, coming up on the other end of this commercial break here on WSAV, another weird game. Windsor Forest and Benedictine a lot closer than it should have been. That game and a lot more next. We are back on the Friday Night Blitz, live from Calvary Day School in Midtown Savannah, and now it is time for our Subway Performance of the Week. And we looked around a lot of other games, but we saw a lot of spread out highlights between a lot of different guys on a lot of different teams tonight. So we chose our top performer from tonight's game. That is a guy we previewed all week long on the Thursday Blitz Countdown Talk Show. It is Omar Burrows, the wide receiver for Savannah Christian. Only made 3 catches for about 75 yards, but one was the best touchdown catch we might have seen all year on a Friday Night Blitz game of the week. And when he made the catches, he made them count. They were big, and he was part of the reason Savannah Christian got that 24-21 win tonight over Calvary in the rivalry game. Okay, Connor, my stuff's out of the way. Let's go back to the studio to you, buddy, and hear about the rest of the weird games and the weirdest night of Savannah High School football so far.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. And we're staying in Savannah here. Plenty of 3A teams hitting the field tonight. All the area stadiums had plenty of action in it, so let's get right to it. Benedictine highly regarded as the favorites to run away with their region, but the Cadets can't count their chickens before they hatch. Talented Windsor Forest meets them in Pooler. This is Carter Grenier taking the snap, lobs one up. That's a nice connection there, and then the running back with a nice run. Carter Morgan finds a hole, runs everybody out of the way as he goes to the end zone. Later, Windsor Forest is punting. Rico Powers is going to call for a fair catch. But special teams can make the difference. They can change momentum. And when you muff it and a team like Windsor Forest pounces on it, they can take advantage. And they do right here. They drive down the field only to be stopped at the goal line just barely by Benedictine. BC would end up running away with this one. It was close much of the night. It was 37-12 when it was all said and done, though. Short weeks, tough on football teams, especially if you lost an overtime thriller like Islands did. They're taking on Johnson now, 6-3 in the third quarter. Gus Bachman drops back, decides to run, but he coughs up the rock after a big hit. Recovered by Johnson. The Adam Smashers used that momentum here. They were beating Islands after this play. LeGregory Dykes launches it towards our Blitz cameraman. He finds his man Javari Bristol Gadsden, who takes it all the way for sticks, and one of the Adam Smashers faithful is stoked. Doing it for the cameras. We love that stuff. Later, Islands would drive down the field and get one last push from Kalen Deloach. Makes headlines for his play as linebacker, but he can get it done with the ball in his hands too. Islands takes this one by the final of 22-9. And while Islands came up on the sour note this Tuesday, Beach came into Friday flying high because they picked up win number 1 on the year. Let's see if they can double that win total tonight against Groves. Groves ready to risk it all though here. Deshaun Moore fakes the punt. He also plays running back, safety, and tight end. So it should be no surprise that he's got leg, speed, and the trickeration goes for 60-plus yards. Sets up a 1st and goal. A few plays later, Damian Ramos, who may have the best hair in the Coastal Empire, at least that's my opinion. This shot doesn't do it justice, though. QB sneak takes a 7-0 lead here, but Beach starts to generate that magic that propelled them to a win against Islands. Strong run here from DeMonte Smith. No one's going to stop him from reaching it. Beach tops Groves 28-14. Savannah Country Day hoping to bounce back from its first loss of the season here, taking on McIntosh County Academy. Low scoring affair, but the Hornets come out on top. And Claxton, winner of last week's WSAV CW Live Game of the Week, beats Portal by a point. Let's head north to South Carolina now. Bluffton would prefer not to get blown out again 2 weeks in a row. They get the job done against Beaufort 28-14. And May River, how about the Sharks? Undefeated on the year, they continue their winning ways with a 41-7 win. Time now for our Friday Night Blitz Play of the Week, presented by Subway. You know, Statesboro lost a heartbreaker in overtime, but they earned my vote for Play of the Week because of this run. Jalen Roberson was absolutely explosive on this play. Not only did he need oxygen after it, he went 99 yards to get Statesboro out of a tight jam, and it's a big reason why they stayed close with a very tough, very undefeated Wayne County team. And a reminder, WSAV and Ford are teaming up to highlight you. Yeah, that's you. You guys watching home. The fans, we're out in full force every Friday night taking pictures. So make sure to check out the Built Ford Tough Fans photo gallery every week. And if you've been spotted by our cameras, make sure to visit WSAV.com/BuiltFordToughFans. And remember, always remember, America's strongest trucks are built Ford tough. That is it for us here from WSAV. Like Greg said, and like I've been noticing with all of these scores, it was a weird week, week 7 in high school football. Islands played it much too close. Benedictine had some close moments against Windsor Forest, but again, big wins from Savannah Christian. I think it's a rivalry renewed, it's safe to say. We'll see you back here, same time next week.